Hi, well, thanks so much for joining me again. It looked like, did you have a gig last night?
I did have a gig last night. I was playing an opening for Port Air.
Yeah, how did it go? I saw so many videos and just like photos and it looked incredible.
It was such a good night. Like I rocked up and it was about maybe I rocked up for sound check and my guitarist went outside and was like, "There's already a line." I'm like, oh, "Stop it!" So I was in the back room, like the green room, and I came out and everyone was so beautiful. And I kind of don't do acoustic sets too often because I kind of yap in between them. So it's like really serious, like emotional songs, and then I'm just like complete and utter like pew 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 between it, and a lot of people connected to that. So yeah, it was good. I had a lot of people come up afterwards. There's one girl who got me to sign like a paper. Well, she wanted me to sign her arm originally, but then she said that she was going to get it tattooed on her. And I said, if you're serious, do not let me sign your arm because I'm going to mess it up. Let me get a piece of paper. So I don't know if that's going to happen. And then another girl showed me all her duck like drawings, so that was really fun, but it was really good.
I love how you just never know what to expect. Like you get duck drawings, you get tattoo requests, like you just don't know.
100%. And there was also Port Air. It was so beautiful. He had like a bunch of free cookies that his mum had made for the tour. So
Oh,
there was just like all of us eating some cookies together, watching the show, and it just was really nice to be like the first one up because I had the whole night just to really connect with everyone.
yeah, and I love that personal touch to gigs as well when there's like homemade cookies and things like that as well. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
incredible. And you've got a new single coming out. Have you performed it live at some of these recent gigs you've done?
I have, and I think that I was so not what 2025 now, 2024. So last April was the first time I played it because I did like an unreleased night, and it was when it was just in its demo phase, and it got really well received. So I spent April, the next couple of months developing it further, and then yeah, it's ready to come out for next week, and I've been playing it live in its full form the last few maybe a month or two now. Um, and yeah, I'm really excited for it. And obviously, the subject line's a conversation starter. So every time that I'm about to play it, I kind of chat about it a little bit.
Yeah, and it's good that you chat about it first too, because I was going to mention like that first line is just so raw and striking. When you're writing it and thinking about like how you wanted to deliver, I guess that content, did you know originally that that was going to be the first line, or did you play around with how you're going to start it?
I think for me, the first lines that I got for this song for adults was actually the verse two, which was I've been losing the memory I once had. I've been hoping this was all in my head. And when I was writing it, I was kind of like, well, there's no context to what I hope that this is like what I'm thinking about. And for me, I kind of tried to say it in a bunch of different ways. To be honest, I was like, oh, it should be like this or metaphoric like this. And it was when I was with my producer, Yanni, who is one of the most incredible people I've ever met. He kind of just said to me, he was like, say it like you've said the story to me. Like, as you've told me your experience, like, say it like that. And I was like, I'll just write it and I'll just say it word for word exactly what's happened and open the scene like that. So I think for me, having that first line, be I was 17 while you were married, is so important because it just sets up it subtly foreshadows what's to come and what I went through with this person.
Yeah, I think it's so raw, and I think that's like, a great way to start it. Especially given like, we talked about this before, but you've always been so like vulnerable and open in your music, whether it's mental health, whether it's this, whether it's, childhood stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I definitely would have spoken about this before as well. It's like, I think last year was a big year for me to really kind of feel like, which it sounds a bit sad, but it's like last year was helping me realize that my story does have value because I think for so long I was going, okay, well, the first couple of years of my life I had to shut off. But then I think about it and I'm like, well, all those years impacted who I am now and those relationships and the like with this song with the lecturer, like I definitely know that my judgment was flawed and a lot of my judgment, you create in your developmental years, like you develop in the way that you experience the idea of love or even think that you should receive it. I The way that I grew up is such a big factor in that now. And Yeah, it was it's really exciting because this year, especially with this song, I wanted it to be the first one of the year because I wanted to know, to like show to my audience that this is where we're going. Like this is, I'm going to give you exactly who I am and what I've been through right here.
Yeah, and I think it also raises like I don't want to say awareness, but I guess just warning like people to be careful because I just you mentioned like it was someone that you drew a lot of inspiration for, but then that relationship changed that inspiration feeling that you initially had.
It was really, honestly, it's one of the craziest experiences in terms of my internal battles with it because at first, because this person like met at 17 because we did like the audition to get into the university, and then he was my lecturer for 3 years. Like he was someone that I trusted, I went to for everything that was good, bad, for advice, for just to chat to all of us going out to the pub afterwards, and just there was such a strong like form of relationship there already, but always as a student and a teacher.
Yeah.
So coming back the year after, like so we reconnected the year after I graduated, me still thinking that this person was married, me still thinking all these other things about this person. And when I kind of like reconnected, I was in a really vulnerable space as well for myself. And when it happened, I kind of was like, oh, this is like very much, there's no other way to say it, but my mindset was like, oh, it's for the plot. It's fine. Like, this can't be bad. And then in the 2 months that it all went on, I can't explain this feeling, but it's kind of like I watched someone that I admired and was, for, not having another word for it, was a hero to me, kind of completely shatter in my eyes and completely destroy, and made me question all those years that I had with this person. And I think that for me, when I was going through it, there was no song that could connect to that because in my head, I didn't think it was grooming because I went, oh, we're both adults. We're both adults. It can't be. And that's a lot of the conversation that I want to start. It's not because there's a right or wrong. It's because there's a gray area, because technically there's nothing wrong that's happened, but morally it's a conversation of, oh, should that really be going on?
Yeah, and sometimes you don't know until after, and especially given that, you're 17 at the time, you were quite young and um
Yeah.
so sometimes you don't realize until, reflecting back. I guess being like at the age you are now and writing that song, has it kind of changed like, well, not just in this song, but all songs, does it change your perspectives when you reflect back and write about past experiences?
It definitely does. I think with what it does, it kind of, I have this, I struggle to remember things quite a lot. And I think that the sooner I write the song for it, the better, because it creates this freeze moment in my head. It goes, okay, this happened. Because I think what I do as more time goes past, I justify the other person's actions. I forget about the bad. I forget about the things that weren't, good that happened to me, and writing and being able to actually kind of unpack that story helps me self-reflect on myself, but also acknowledge that it's okay for me not to want someone around that did really hurt me, and that I tried to find a connection with. Because this person as well, when it all kind of went down, he was like, oh, we can still be friends, and I was like,
No.
like I genuinely can't be your friend. Yeah.
Yeah, it just shows how little they take responsibility as well. If they know their part and they're like, oh, there can still be a friendship here. It's like, well, no, you don't realize what you've done if you feel like a friendship is a great idea.
100%. And I think that right at the end of it, like I confronted him and I said that I thought he was grooming me, and he kind of turned around and was like, oh, but why? What's like, kind of was like, when you talk to someone, they're like, oh, but give me proof. Give me proof. And I was like, I can't describe it. Like, how do I, like, I just think that, especially with this song, what I want to do, and in my music in general, it's like there's so much gray area, and it's not right, wrong, but it's like what feels right and wrong.
Yeah, and it's totally okay if you don't want to answer the next question as well.
It's
But
okay.
given, I guess, unfortunately, there is a lot of power imbalance in the music industry, and without us turning this into a political debate, why do you think there is so much imbalance and power abuse in the industry?
I think this isn't the only reason, but the first thing that kind of comes, and this is just only the first thing that comes to my head, and there's a bigger chat, I think that it's so it's so hard to get into certain positions in music and certain things, and it's so personal. And when you get to a position where people are looking up to you, I feel like there can be not necessarily like a power trip. I think that's the wrong way to say it, but it almost you feel like maybe it's owed to you in a way. And I'm saying this purely like on the top of my head, very flawed in the way that I say this, but I think that I say that because this lecturer in particular, it's like they almost felt like they were doing nothing wrong because they just really like they had that teacher role. So it's like, how could I be doing anything wrong? I'm in a position where like I'm a good person. And I'm like, a position doesn't make you a good person. It's the actions in that position that makes you a good person. And I think that it's so hard to get into a position that you want in the industry that when you're there, it's almost like, well, I'm good because I'm here. And I'm like, no, it's what you do in that as well.
Yeah, and also his ethics. I mean, as a teacher, like he would have like an ethical code anyway, not to even think about that with students.
Well, I asked him as well, and I put this online too, and it's because it's in the song lyrics as well, but I asked him, I asked him straight out, I was like, were you attracted to me as a student? I looked at him dead in the eye and I asked him that, and he looked back and he's like, I have eyes, don't I? And I laugh because it makes me feel sick, but it's like, and I wrote that in the pre-chorus. The last line of it is, do you see the same girl with the same eyes? Because for me being very inappropriate to describe this, but you know, safe space. The pre-chorus, I which I haven't really spoken about online yet. It's the first time I will, but the whole time that it was happening, he had prescription weed, and I was always getting high at his house when it was happening because I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do anything with him without being in that space. So that pre-chorus is about this moment in the shower that we were literally, you know, this, you can make the picture. He was standing up and I was kneeling, and I was like, it was this surreal thing where I was like, you are like, are you looking down at me and seeing that girl that you taught? And that's the whole pre-chorus describes that, because I think that was just such a big moment for me where I was like, oh, this isn't right. So yeah.
And thank you for sharing that too, because I know it wouldn't be easy talking about this stuff and that, especially like if there's people that, you know, I don't know if you're still connected with people you went to school with or things like that.
I am, and there's a few people that do know the name, and I've been asked a lot about it, but I'm not going to say the name of the uni or the lecturer. People can do their own research, and I've had a few people that have tried to go undercover to figure out where I went to uni. But I guess yeah, it's like I had one girl yesterday at the show, because I spoke about it at the show, and she came up to me and she was like, I'm just starting uni, and what you spoke about is the one thing that I'm scared about with uni, and I've been thinking about it. And it was horrible to hear that that's something that we have to think and fear, but it was also beautiful to be like, this was my experience, this is how I deal with it. Like yeah, she said that she felt like she was saying, she's like, it feels like it was a silly thing to worry about. And I was like, it's not a silly fear because look what happened to me. It was, you know, fine during uni. And then the year after. Yeah.
But I hate that people go undercover to try and find who it's about or where you went to uni. Like, just let the song be. Like, it's quite clear what the song's about. It doesn't really matter like who it is or where you went.
I think it's interesting. I have a friend from America, and she was saying, I was talking to her about the song, and she's like, in America, she was saying that they'd kind of look at that song and be like, huh, standard. Like they'd go, oh, okay, like there's a lot about this. But I think I just haven't seen too many songs about it in Australia right now because I think a lot happens. I think there's a lot that does go on,
Yeah.
but it's hard to say it. And I still get, you know, scared saying stuff. Like I have a lot of people that go like, oh, why, you know, how do you get the confidence for it? And I think a lot of it is just I'd rather say it than not say it at all, and just hope that I have people like that I have and I'm connected to supporting me, like you and everyone that I'm like really close to. It's like I've just got to really like lean on my support network to know that it's okay to share these stories, because at the end of the day, they're my experiences, and the way that I feel should be valid, and the way that anyone feels should be valid in terms of like being but to just express. And yeah, it just sits in a very gray area, and it's not a right or wrong, it's just a conversation with this song that I really want to start.
Yeah, and I love that it opens up conversations, like even having that uni person come up to you at a show, but also like as you said, there's nothing really in Australia about that at the moment. So I don't know whether it would have been different if you had a song like that, when you experienced that.
I think that if I had something creative when I was going through it, it would have made a really big difference because I didn't know. I think that was the biggest thing for me with with the word grooming. I was like, I rejected it for so long. I was like, no, it's not that. It's not that at all. And then I had a friend who sat me down and just was like, you were in a power dynamic. You trusted him for 3 years. That was developed in this trust and this idea. And that's why it was so hard when you were there and it shattered this like hero that you had in your mind. And I think for me, adults is about like, it's the conversation, but also hoping that people in positions of power can at least take responsibility for their own authority. Like if this person and I were in love and we're in love for years and everything's great, like, oh my gosh, my computer's beeping. Please stop beeping.
It's happening.
Did you hear it?
Yes.
It was so dramatic. Um, yeah. But I just like I want there to at least be a sense of like responsibility, and I not next Thursday when it comes out, whenever this comes, that it might be already out. But 2 weeks after, I'm releasing the music video for it, and I've partnered up with my friend Dylan, who is playing the lecture. But for him, he saw, which why he wanted to be involved was that he used to do music and he saw my story in what he saw, which was fan and artist, a fan and artist and fan. But he can't talk a lot about his experiences because he's signed to an NDA. So I said, well, if you can't speak it,
Act
come
it.
and and act it. Let's show it. So yeah, I'm really excited for it. There's a lot of Easter eggs in that music video that's coming out. There's like, did you see the oh my gosh, the movie Miller's Girl that was all over
No,
TikTok?
I did not.
It's got Jenna Ortega in it.
I
Ortega.
love her. I'll have to check it out. I love her.
It's a movie about like literally like a teacher and a student having a romantic relationship. This was while they were on campus, and in one of the scenes, I put that in the TV screen in the background. Like I've just filled it up with like little Easter eggs. So yeah.
I'm excited for the video and kudos to Dylan because that would be really hard, like playing a role of like an abuser when he's someone that obviously cares about you a lot.
Yeah, and I think that there's one scene in it that I really wanted, because it's the first music video I've directed. I directed it because I kind of it was so exciting because I was speaking to my videographer Max and we kind of like was mapping it out, but he was like, "You're directing this. You'll live," because the whole music video is from the start to finish of what exactly happened. So in my head, I was like, "Well, this needs to be like this to represent this, and this also happened, so let's make it like this." And he's like, "You've got the director's cap." So I was like, "Okay," which was fun, but yeah, it's I think there was one scene that we had to practice a lot, which was I wanted him to grab me and then twirl me towards him. So we practiced a lot of like just marking for that. And there was just the three of us. So me, Dylan, and Max on set. And we did it in 2 days. And it was really, there's a lot about this music video that's a lot. There's also I say this and I'm like, of course there is. Of
I was like, I
course
wouldn't expect anything less from you. Like,
Well, so the music video opens and it sets up the teacher scene, and then by the chorus, there's a sex scene in the music video, and I was like, of course I put that in there, but I wanted it. Like I was like, it has to have that shock factor. It has to have that. Oh, this is a relationship, and how did we get here? So
oh, I just saw Red Bull like come in because the door opened and there was just like this tail like propped up in the air. I'm like, Red Bull.
he just came in to be like, just letting you know I'm here.
It's funny because just as he told you about the sex scene, he's like, Mom, I don't want to hear it.
He's like, stop.
Like, Mom, no, kids are around.
Literally. But Yeah, that's the music video. I kind of put it in. I'm just gonna put my little lamp on because it'll give me. I think it's getting a bit dark now. Um, but yeah, I wanted it to be in there, and it was important for me to have that in there because there is a shock factor to it. There was for me at least. So yeah, that's why it's in there.
Thank you. And I guess my last question about the song itself is given that now with social media, there's more like, releasing music and being a part of the industry is more accessible. Do you have any advice for people that may struggle to know who are the safe people in the industry and who to be cautious of?
I think this is a really good question because I had very recently a couple of people who I really trusted kind of flip on me. I think that the most well, a couple of important things. I think it's also trusting your gut and trusting your intuition with people and giving people the benefit of the doubt, but not letting your own, I guess, judgment be sacrificed by that. I think, sorry, Red Bull's just like watching. Um, and I think focusing on one-on-one connections is really important. I think it doesn't matter. Don't, look for someone that's, oh, they're in this position, so I need to talk to them, or they're in this like position. I think there is so much power from people that are on the floor and doing music and supporting it. And I think, don't chase a connection because of someone's like position in the music industry, but have a connection because you genuinely connect with this person that you're talking to. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's really good advice, I think, because sometimes you don't know who are the safe people until you've made a mistake with someone that you trust. And as you said, sometimes there are people you think you do trust a lot, and then they show you why you shouldn't.
Yeah, and it's yeah, it was a very good question, especially I had a thing happen last month where I kind of had to do that all again. And I've been doing this for ages and I still have that happen, but I yeah, you just gotta also not beat yourself up over it when you do realize that, someone isn't the best for you because, as long as you go in with really, you know, with really great like intent in what you're doing, then it'll be fine.
Yeah, and before I move on to like the lighter questions, I just want to thank you too for always being so, I guess, open and vulnerable in what you share about your music too. Because like even in our last interviews and this one, you've always shared like really good advice and things that people can learn from as well.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the space to chat as well.
No worries at all. But like I'm really interested because like recently you did that one day world tour. I just want to know like was it planned or was it until you were looking at the dates where you're like, this is all in one day?
I was looking at the dates. I was sitting there, I was sitting at my old job's desk, and I was like looking at my itinerary, and I went, I could. Like, I genuinely was like over, and I was like, and you 100% can just see me just sitting there, like, I could do that, and then I could do that, and then I could do that. So, yeah, that was really it.
How did you pull it off? Like I'm assuming like how many Red Bulls did you consume during that time?
I don't remember the first 3 days of that trip. So, I, it was the Tuesday, and I went to bed on the Monday night. And then I was up all day Tuesday. And then it was technically Tuesday at like 11 p.m. that I got to the venue. And then the gig started at 12 a.m. on the Wednesday. So we're in the day. And then I was on at like 3 a.m. because I had support artists. I had people doing it with me who got up and sung early. And so then from me singing and then packed down, I was out of the venue by like 5. I've skipped Tuesday night sleep. We've already skipped one night.
I mean,
And then
that's sorry, because I know like the time zone is what made it one day, but realistically, how many nights was it?
I don't, well, yeah, because Tuesday night I skipped. But I was in the country on on the Wednesday morning at 5. And then I got to the airport by 8. It was still Wednesday. And then Wednesday, I flew to New Zealand, and it was Wednesday at like 4, so we're still in Wednesday. And then I flew Wednesday at 9 p.m. And then I arrived in LA Wednesday morning. So I didn't even sleep on the plane. I was so hyped up. I was like,
People are thinking like, what is this person doing? Why are we
well,
here?
why are we? Well, I was really lucky in New Zealand. I went to a gate terminal to sing and I set up my laptop and I got my little mic so I could record it through. I didn't know where the gate was going, and the gate was going to Colombia. And all these really local like people from Colombia came and like sat and like was surrounding. So there's me there, and in the like there's a couple of videos out there where you can see my face like look around like this because they all started to come, which was really nice. And then I was like, what's that noise? It's a tap. And then yeah, got to LA, went straight from the LA airport to the venue, just walked in, and I was like, anything could happen. I've never been to America before. I don't know what, I've never met this person that I'm playing with. I've never met the band. I've never gone to the venue. I'm by myself. We'll just hope for the best. And it was the most beautiful night. I had so much people being like, watch out, it's LA. And I met the most beautiful people I could ever meet. And then I was off stage by their time, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Went to back to my hotel. Everywhere in LA is like an hour to get to. And then I packed my stuff, went to the airport to fly out to Mexico. And then I was up all day Mexico on the Thursday that is now. And then I was riding all day. And then Thursday, because the time zones, I couldn't get to sleep. So I skipped Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday sleep.
That's such a Sarah thing to do. Like the whole time I was thinking like this does not surprise me. Like anyone else, I'd be like, oh wow, this is crazy. But I'm just like, yeah, like that's the norm.
That's what she does.
Like I can just imagine like your friends like, oh, where's Sarah? She's doing her thing again.
Sorry, I think I'm allergic to something, my sniffles.
Okay. You're allergic to Red Bull candle.
Maybe it is. It was actually, yeah, maybe it is. I've decided that I can't really decide it because it's going to happen. Well, so right now I'm in the process, which would be a very interesting process to be able to share as well. I haven't set it online yet, so whoever's watching this or reading this has to read this to hear it first. I'm planning to go back to the US. I'm in the midst of trying to get a visa for it, which is fun, so much fun. Because I wanted me and the girl that I was with last year want to do a co-headline tour along California, and do a sorority house tour.
Amazing.
So we're planning that right now, which is really exciting. But that's my big Yaggy idea for this year, which is like June 18th. I have tickets. I've got the tickets. I got the tickets. June 18th, I get to the States. I rehearse from Monday, June 18, 19, 20. No, nights. Monday, Tuesday rehearse. Then Wednesday, because we share the same band. So I've got a band there as well. And we drive up. Yeah. But it's just, that's why I want to do it. I was like, it's just waiting for me.
And also saves money having to pay for like two lots of bands as well if it's the same people. Like, yeah.
100%. So it's just the one band that we're sharing, and we have set each, and yeah. I'm going from June 18 to July the 5th because our last show on July the 4th, Ari, like the artist Father Gomez and I were chatting, and we want to do a queer night on July the 4th because we've just been having a lot of chats, and I'm like, especially for America right now, I feel like for 4th of July, we want to both create a really safe space.
Definitely.
So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to have like tattoos and drag queens and us performing and other queer artists, and then we're just going to make it this really, really, yeah. I mean, that's my most exciting part of the tour, I think. I'm very excited for that, and to have probably some mean Americans get very upset with me and me yell back in my Australian accent.
They'll be shocked. They're like, but yeah, it sounds like you got an exciting year ahead because you've also got some like Australian shows. Obviously, you've got some international plans. I'm very excited for you. And I mean, I'm making a goal on your behalf, but you need to get a Red Bull sponsorship.
This time next year, if we're both not talking in another interview and I've sent you some Red Bulls and we're decked out in a Red Bull jacket, that's the goal.
I feel like we can make it happen if we just encourage people to bring a Red Bull to each show, or I don't know, if you've got budget to supply Red Bulls, then eventually Red Bull will see it and be like, what's this girl? Why is there Red Bulls?
Well, what I'm thinking is that if I keep sticking Yaggy stickers on top of Red Bulls and they get them upset about it, I go, guys, if you just bring me Red Bulls, I won't put the sticker on it. I won't put Yaggy on it. Or just me go, oh, no, oh, wait, oh my, sorry, a Yaggy idea.
So go for it.
Go to random, is that illegal? If I go to random supermarkets and I start putting like Yagi stickers on like one Red Bull, and
It's
they're
only
like,
illegal if you get caught, right? Like,
"What's what I mean?" And I'm like,
oh,
and then I, well, it'll have my name on it, but I'll be like, I don't know who did this. But it's also
yeah.
like, that's a story. Random artist tries to get Red Bull sponsorship by putting her sticker on Red Bulls across
Yeah.
the US.
And even if you don't get a Red Bull sponsorship, you've at least got a news article and a headline with your name and Red Bull. So it's the closest thing, right? It's the next best thing.
I love the way you think. And oh, let me cook on it tonight. I'm gonna think about it. But if it happens, that means that it's pretty much sponsored by Futuremag Music because the
Yes,
idea
there
is
you go.
all of us.
I shouldn't be enabling this, but I want it to happen.
No, I want it to happen too. Oh my gosh. There's so much worse things in the world that happen. I think that I'm like, anyways, that's my
Yeah.
I,
But that's basically all my questions. Do you have anything else you want to share about this particular song or things that actually sorry, I do want to talk about your new your freelancing project. Tell me like more about that and how artists can get involved if you want extra support.
So pretty much what I'm doing freelance PR and social media. I was working at a PR company for a while and I did PR with two other companies before I became a publicist. And something that I really want to do is have an artist run artist service sort of setup. So I'm able to do like online pitching, radio, Triple J, but also focus on like social media and like specifically not just like ads. I feel like a lot of times when people say social media, they think, oh, just ad spend, but I really want to foster relationships with artists where we can kind of dive into who they are and like figure out what they want to say. Because I think that as a musician and as an artist, there's so much music, and sometimes the point of difference is people knowing who you are and people knowing your story and your personality and who's the person singing these songs. So that's a lot of the focus on multimedia, which it's me, but my Yaggi's way too distinctive. So I was like, I need another name to like, as an author, has an alias, put that underneath. And that's pretty much it. I've got an Instagram. It's on a private account, but please do follow it because it is very much, it's just a private account, so it keeps it kind of close knit with everyone rather than the idea of me trying to push it and push it. It's like, I just want it to be something that's very word of mouth. I'm running little seminars in Sydney right now, which is exciting. I have my first one next on Wednesday, the 15th, where I just pretty much talk and really it's been exciting. I've got a few artists that are keen to do campaigns, but I want an artist to work with me, not because they can't do it themselves, because artists can do it themselves, but because they just want someone else there doing it. And yeah, that's the vibe.
Yeah, and sometimes it helps with motivation, just having someone that checks in and holds you accountable. Just being like, hey, look, this is what, we're working towards or something.
And just having, I guess, someone there to like, I don't know, I think that a big question that I kept getting asked, which was super fair, was like, what is PR? Like, where does it go? Where does my money go? Where is it? And I think a big part of what I'm doing is like explaining what I'm doing first and then going, this is everything that I'll do, this is everything that I will. Do you still feel like there's value in it? Because I don't want someone to be, I want someone to want to invest in me because they believe in how much I want to invest back. And I think PR is just something that lacks a lot of, I guess, I hate to use the word, but it's the only word that's coming to mind, I guess, like empowerment and education. I want artists that I work with to feel like they have a sense of like, this is who I am. And a lot of them that I'm working with now, which is exciting, it's very much like, I'll say what I think, but if an artist is like, this is what I think, like I want that to be the first judgment call we make and like to lead with that. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
I think it's so important too, because a lot of people don't know what PR is. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, people that like, get their music really well known and stuff, like they don't just do it overnight. Like there's PR people in the background helping make that happen. And also the
100%.
artists as well, but yeah.
And I think it's like what I'm really focusing on is like, and why I'm like being able to make it a lot more affordable for artists is that if there's an artist that's just starting out and they don't need certain aspects, I'm not going to just do the certain aspects just because. Like, I'd rather have an artist that we do small things. They've got a single one and single two that they just want to do a few places, a few bits and bobs, and then we like lead up to bigger pieces and bigger ideas rather than thinking that they have to do that every time. Because I think like there's a development part that I really want to focus on because PR pretty much just is like an artist, the media, and it's like the middle person. That's all it is. It's just the middle person, and like I want to be able to also give artists the confidence to like do it. And if they can't do it, I'm there just to help
Exactly.
facilitate.
Yeah, well, congratulations. It sounds really good, and I'm keen to see what you do with it.
I'm just being me. Just it's just me, but just with all the admin and the brain stuff. So
You have time for everything. I mean, you do PR, you're an artist, you've obviously, yeah, you've got some other things you're working on. Like, I just don't know how you got the time, but well done.
thank you so much, and thank you for chatting with me today as well.
Yeah, anytime. But yeah, that's definitely all my questions now. Is there anything else that you wanted to add that you want people to know or things that you feel like we haven't covered?
Um, I think it's just like live shows are a massive part of what I'm, wanting to do. So I think that if anyone's around in Sydney for the February show, 22nd, and then Melbourne will be the 23rd. And I'll probably just, yeah, I won't do another headliner for a couple of months after that because I'm off to America. So definitely keep posted in my Yagi ideas and see what I do and see if I get sued by Red Bull.
So one more question just came to me because I'm very curious now. Like when you say your Yagi ideas, how do you separate what's a Sarah idea and what's a Yagi idea?
Sarah idea is much more process, procedure, like it's a little bit more systematic. Like I'm a very organized person. But a Yagi idea is like a big grand plan, and then the Sarah part of it has to go, all right, now how are we gonna do this? So Yagi's like the shoot for the stars, and then
Impulsive, okay.
yeah, and Sarah's like, okay, that's cool. We're gonna go with this step and this step and this step together.
So I'm going to start recording.